So what happened with the Black Hawk helicopter and the plane? Could have been completely accidental. 2 weeks before the election, though, I want to bring up a story that was shared by one of our defense contractors in America. Something to think about. Is there more to it, or is it just simply an accident? We'll talk about that and go through the information. Again, with all the technology in the world, we have air traffic control watching out. How did this happen? I'll give you my thoughts on it. Also, we're going to talk about what J.D. Vance said about the family. Something that he made mention of that makes complete common sense of what Americans really, truly feel. I'd say majority of Americans, no matter if there's an R or D behind your name. Also, RFK grilled yesterday. But there was one thing that everybody's not talking about. One party said, they're worried about the HHS. They're worried about more of the medicine stuff. There's something he said about the food that I think is huge. Then we're going to talk about a whistleblower complaint with the FBI. What warning did they issue, and what did the FBI do? We'll discuss all these stories and a few more. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to our channel, please go down here, press subscribe, especially if you like the content. Give us a thumbs up. It means the world to us, and we humbly ask that you do that. Helps you get into a drawing each and every month. We do a giveaway at the end of the month, and again, we're coming up on the end of the month for January, and we give something away for this channel, for the Life at Kobe Mac channel, the new vlog channel, and then my wife's channel, The Max Life. So make sure you are subscribed to those channels. That way you could be entered into the drawing. And every time you comment, every time you give a thumbs up, our studio app, we have a little app that tells exactly how many counts are going for that. We put you in a random drawing and we give things away. And we would love to give something to you. It's just us saying thank you so much for watching our content. Now let's jump into the stories of the day. First, let's talk about the Black Hawk airplane incident. Now, by the time this video is out, there could be some more thoughts on it. We know that there looks like there's no survivors. Sadly, I don't understand how this takes place. I understand how accidents happen. Things happen. Humans make errors. But when you talk about the strategic amount of money we've spent on intelligence and apparatus when it comes to Black Hawk, to then say just, of course, a normal commercial jet, which has a lot of capabilities, but still depends on eyes and ears of the air traffic control. How did the air traffic control get this so wrong, or is there more to the story? It may not be, but I do want to bring up this. There was a new article that someone shared with me, and I thought that, it just kind of was odd. Again, coincidences sometimes are coincidences. Accidents are sometimes accidents, but we do need to talk about it and gain perspective so that way we know how to be wise on it. Listen to this. It says, someone shared this with me, and I thought this was good. It says, Lockheed Martin, which is one of our biggest contractors, defense contractors in America and, of course, the world, demonstrated this remote Black Hawk technology in Washington, D.C. just months ago. 2 weeks before the election, they talked about how they could take a Black Hawk and fly it unmanned, how they can control every movement it makes. Now, again, complete accident, could have been just a freak thing. But if we have that kind of capability and we have spent that kind of money and we have this, this is a major piece of machinery that we use all over the world. They've made movies about it, about this one helicopter. How in the world does it accidentally run into a commercial jetliner? And we're literally close to a airport, so you'd think it'd be even more cautious. Again, air traffic control. And again, we have the technology to run this thing without a man in it. So if a man is in it, how in the world would this not be like? I think of cars. If I go in one lane next to another car, it beeps. You'll see it beeping because they don't want you to get over on the other car. If we can build that technology in a $30,000 or $40,000 automobile, but we spend $50 million, $60 million on this Black Hawk, how do we not have that same capabilities? Now, I don't think you should have a little buzzer saying that you're getting too close to the plane next to you. What I'm trying to say, though, is it not strange that this takes place? Is it not strange that nobody really has an answer for it other than just freak accident? I would love to know who's on the plane. Everyone that's now pronounced dead. It's heartbreaking. I pray for. There was this one guy they interviewed. It broke my heart, man. He was sitting there, and he said his wife just messaged and said, "I'll be here in 20 minutes." He pulls up at the airport. He's sitting in the terminal, and he says, basically, he watches what happens, and sitting there with his phone, with the last message his wife sent, just moments before this happened. And he was being interviewed. You know, sad that these people were interviewing him right after this situation. But what we see is there's a lot of people affected. And first of all, I pray for those families. I do think it's great that, you know, we had Buttigieg, just the last transportation guy, and he had paternity leave and all that. They showed a picture of Sean Duffy being there last night at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Just got confirmed yesterday, and he's already doing a job that nobody wants to do at the mass casualty event. So again, pray for these families. I thought it was just odd how they built this capability. They shown it off just 2 weeks prior to the election, and now they have an incident with a manned version, and we don't know why, and we don't understand how. It's just amazing. Now, they said there was supposed to be supposedly 30 or so on the plane, and 3 or so on the helicopter. I think they filmed one so far from the helicopter, like 20-something from the plane. I would just like to know more about this whole scenario. I hope more things come out, not because I don't want it to be any more than just a freak accident, but I do think that if you're air traffic control or you run these helicopters, again, the people that are doing these helicopters are highly trained, skilled people. The commercial jetliners, most of these people have to have so many more hours than just your regular old little plane drivers, you know, or, I mean, this is a very stressful job, and people are very good at their job. So tell me how this takes place. It's just kind of mind-numbing to me. Now, before we go any further, a word from today's sponsor. The most crucial thing when it comes to our health and what we put in our body is water. Without water, we would not be sustainable. For the majority of Americans, they're forced to drink either water out of a bottle or water out of the tap. There's been all kind of chemicals, chlorine, and fluorides in them. What's wrong with drinking a bottle of water? 240,000 nano and microplastic particles have been found in every average liter of a bottle of water. An average family spends $1,350 a year on bottled water. Let's talk about tap water, like city and rural waters, like most people have. 1.1 million Americans get sick every year from germs in tap water. 70 million Americans have PFAS, that's forever chemicals. 105,000 Americans develop cancer in their lifetime due to water not being the best quality. That's why I use a countertop water filtration system called Cove Pure. How does Cove Pure work? It works in 4 stages. Your first line is called PP. All the rust, the sand, the big particles out of your water. 2 is a carbon filter. Rid your water of the microplastics that we were just talking about, the pesticides. Number 3, reverse osmosis. One of the biggest proponents of Cove Pure, and actually one of the main reasons I personally like it. Thousands of harmful chemicals, like forever chemicals, arsenic, lead, all that stuff gets taken away with reverse osmosis. And stage 4 is an alkaline filter. It allows you to get the magnesium and the benefits of good, clean, crisp water. The Cove Pure system is very efficient. It also sits right on your kitchen counter, looks nice aesthetically. The benefit of it is you can have instant water any way. If you want it warm, cold, hot, ambient, it doesn't matter. Cove Pure system can do it. Invest in a Cove Pure. Not only are you saving a tremendous amount of money compared to what you're paying for bottled water, you're getting the best quality water, period. Check out Cove Pure today. Get $200 off by using my link below. That is covepure.com/themax. Get $200 off. Think how nice it would be to have good quality filtered reverse osmosis alkaline water literally at a touch of a button on your kitchen counter. Check out Cove Pure today. $200 off. covepure.com/themax. Do not miss out on this savings. Thank you, Cove Pure, for sponsoring today's video. You know, we always talk about healthy water. Check out Cove Pure. They really are a great company. We're using it. My kids love it. It's kind of fun for them because they can go from hot to cold, ambient. And again, it's good quality water with reverse osmosis capabilities. You know, we talked about prepping. That's a big deal. Water's a big deal. Check out Cove Pure. But let's go on to the next story. I want to read something that J.D. Vance shared, and I thought it was just good. This was when he did his interview, and they were talking about how, you know, how people are kind of demonizing them for not taking care of the people of the world. You know, cutting funding, holding funding, doing more of a probationary period for giving our funds out. Well, first of all, we need to help Americans. But I do love this, and I thought it was a good a good thought pattern. J.D. Vance says there is a Christian concept that we need to love our family, then we love our neighbor, then we love our community, then we love our fellow citizens, and then after that we can prioritize the rest of the world. I think about that with Scripture too. It talks about your home, talks about your community, talks about your lands, and then talks about the uttermost. And I thought that was a good thought pattern there, because just like me, I don't want to ever say that I don't want people eating in Sudan, or Ethiopia. But what we have to realize is we have problems here first. If we learn to solve our problems, then when we learn to solve our problems, we not only become better, but we become better as in helping other people too, because we're not in such a catastrophic situation ourselves. Like, we have a debt problem. Why in the world are we giving money to other countries when we have a debt problem? Now, could we give food? Yeah, we probably could give food because we probably have an access. We probably have a good bit of extra food. So there's things that we can still do to help individuals and help countries. But just saying we're just going to dole out all this money, it's ridiculous. There was a former African president yesterday. He said, and I was like, man, he should be on Doge. But he said, why do all these countries get upset that America is stopping funding from funding their countries? And he was just saying, in generality, American taxpayers don't live here. We don't pay, and he was talking about the African country he was part of. He said, us and the other countries, we don't pay taxes in America. Why is it fair for the American taxpayers to always fund our bills? And this is coming from an African leader. And what he was saying was this: at some point in time, we have to fend for ourselves. And I thought that was a good concept. There's nothing wrong with helping someone. Just like me, if I want to help a family or help do something for them or provide a meal for them, I can do that and give to them and help them, and I love it. And I would love to help a lot of families like that. But if 20 years goes by and I always have helped them and they've never done anything for themselves, then we should realize that there may be a problem, not with us giving, but with the person that is accepting. Well, the same way, a lot of this money that we're sending, a lot of the taxpayer dollars that we're sending all these countries, we've been doing it for how many years? Yesterday, Dan Goldman, which is a complete and utter joke, Democratic congressman, said, well, because Trump is holding this money hostage, what about AIDS funding in all these third world countries? Well, what are they going to do? Well, we've been doing it for 40 years. And so if 40 years of us giving money to these countries doesn't fix it, 1 more year, 2 more years to reevaluate this is going to all of a sudden change the game? You hadn't done jack crap for them in 40 years. All this money that we're giving, that probably means it's probably not going to the right places, correct? Think about it. Think of all the money we've spent across the world and tell me actually what it's done to make these places better. Think of all the money that we've given to the continent of Africa or to some of these third world countries that, quote unquote, are better off. Are they really? That's the thing I have to think about. And so I think what Trump is doing is great. He's evaluating and saying, look, we're going to see actually, does the taxpayer need to keep paying these kind of fees and funds? Because we're starving here in America and we're broke and we want to keep giving things to other countries that's actually not helping. It's probably making other people rich. So J.D. Vance's comments of saying, look, the Christian concept, look, we want to take care of the world. We want to help them. However, we want to teach them. However, we have to take care of what's here first. I tell you this analogy all the time. If I'm not taking care of my wife and kids in my own home, how in the world am I going to take care of my neighbor's family and house and home? Mine would go in disrepair, wasn't it? Wouldn't it? Well, that's exactly what's happening with America. So I think having this new concept of saying, look, let's just take care of America first. It's not saying that we hate the world. It's just saying we have to prioritize. Have a better priority list to say, you know what? Let's take care of our home first, then let's work out from there. I told you, it's kind of like budgeting. If I go buy meals in town and buy fast food junk all the time and I don't pay my house note, my priorities are wrong, correct? You would all agree. It's the same concept. Take care of our home first, and then let's move her outwards to our community, to our citizens, and then, of course, to the uttermost. I thought it was a great word from J.D. Now, Now for the next story, RFK was pretty much grilled yesterday, and I think he'll get through. I think it's going to be some finagling with Republicans for sure. I think Democrats won't vote for him, which is funny because he's a lifelong Democrat, and the one that they tend to lean towards more than any Kennedy, the Kennedy family was the Democrat family of the last century. But it just blows my mind that they're kowtowing and playing politics. But I want you to listen to what he said. I think what a lot of times we miss is sometimes they push RFK and it's dealing with the things here. But I want you to listen to this because this always goes back to what's on my shelf here. It says, the Europeans won't even buy and take our food. That's not good for farmers. We also are destroying our own soil because some of the chemicals that the farmers are using are destroying the microbiome and cause the erosion of the soil. Agroeconomists now estimate that we only have a continued process of 60 harvests left before the soil is gone. You remember I did a video not too long ago about how each year our production is worse. It's taking more chemicals and more additives and more GMO crops to get the same style harvest because we have destroyed our soil, destroyed our true seeds, and he's calling attention to it. You know what's so funny? The goods and foods that we do send out to India, to Europe, they want non-GMO. They want good quality. So guess what happens? We grow some stuff and send out, and we act like it's all from the same farmers. It's not. They won't buy from the majority of the crops that we're growing because we modify them so much, thanks to people like Big Ag and Bill Gates. And so what I think RFK is bringing attention to is, look, what you don't realize is we are destroying our food system. Now that food system being destroyed is what's leading to more of this and more sicknesses. Again, it's kind of like the giving of money overseas to all these countries, and for 40 or 50 years we've been doing it and there's been no change. So why are we going to keep funding something that's not changing? That same concept is for this. Pharmaceuticals are supposedly making our life better. However, the longevity of our life, the mortality, the comorbidities that we have, the fact of the healthier part of our generation, no, it's not. We're not healthier. We're not living longer. So the trash, garbage food that we're putting in our body, that we're growing and ruining our soul and our microbiome, by doing that, what we're doing is we're actually causing more harm to us to be put on more medicines that are not giving us better lives. Think about what I just said. It is literally a sick cycle carousel. The more medicine we need because the food that we're growing is trash, the food that we're putting in our body because we're not doing it in the right way is pretty much owned by the pharmaceutical companies. What do you think the FDA is? Food and drug, because they go together so quickly. And then all of a sudden it comes back around to pharmacy again. What RFK is doing, and why these Democrats are pushing so far against them? Elizabeth Warren, one of the biggest ones on that committee that was yelling yesterday, she's not the biggest person that they're lobbying for, but she took $1.5 million last year from the pharmaceutical lobby. 1.5. You wonder why these people vote like they do. Because their salary is $175 or $200, but they get $1 million from lobbyists, from one company, from one style lobby. What about the other 10, 15, 20, 30 big lobby firms in Washington that's bringing, food and bringing different things to them? Do you see how that works? So they're yelling at RFK, and actually what RFK is trying to keep your kids safe, trying to get a better balance of diet and make our souls last long in regenerative forms like we've done for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years. But no, Democrats and rhinos alike get so much money from all these lobbyists, so therefore they're actually not voting for you, they're voting to harm you. Think about it. What did we talk about the 6-cycle carousel? They're voting because that 6-cycle carousel is paying them to vote against you to make you unhealthy. That's why you could see times of famine. There was a study done, and he was talking about, he referenced it. There was a study done that said within 10 years, America could possibly see a famine because of the way they're growing food. What are we doing? Rerouting water, having a God complex to say that we can control the crops, we can control the narrative, we can do the fertilizers and the herbicides and make it a pretty perfect crop. Did you watch the Jurassic Park, the last Jurassic, I think it was the last Jurassic Park. No dinosaurs are going to be made, I don't believe. But the thing in that movie that caught me, I think, by surprise is that they put it out, that Hollywood put it out, was they built this mosquito, or basically this bug, they built this like cicada, this larva, this flying contraption insect that pretty much was going to destroy the crops other than the ones that were modified. So it was going to destroy the farmland, it's going to destroy everything, but the modified ones are okay. What are they pushing now? The perfect ear of corn, the perfect soybean that no animal, that nothing will touch. They are beautiful and perfect. It's because they're so modified that nothing wants to eat them. We're destroying our own croplands, and they're fighting to destroy RFK over him wanting to keep you and your family healthy. That is truthfully mind-blowing. And it's all because of money and power. And these senators are not looking out for you. Last story, and we're going to wrap this up. There was a whistleblower complaint with the FBI agent saying they are calling in sick during the time that ICE requested their help in Chicago. They have what they call the blue flu. What this story shows is a lot of these FBI agents called in sick because they did not want to assist in getting people off the streets that were not supposed to be there. Again, kind of like the Senate not looking out for you, kind of like your government not looking out for you. Now you have your officers not looking out for literally following the orders of the land. The land. So not only the president, but remember, we have a constitution that talks about our sovereignty. And you have multiple officers that called in sick. The only reason that we know about this is that this whole office didn't want to help was because a whistleblower called and complained and said, look, the reason they're calling in sick is because they don't want to assist in helping Trump get people out of these areas. So even your police, remember New Orleans, they kind of disregard that FBI agent down there too. What we're seeing in these cities, it reminds you of like the Gotham Batman kind of thing, where even the leadership in these cities are so corrupt that there's almost no hope. There really is not. It's amazing. The Chicago mayor is so inept. His town has fallen to pieces, and he blames all his problems for a town that's been under 50, 60, 70 years of democratic socialism, wants to blame Trump for it. It's kind of like the Democrats blaming Trump for the high price of eggs. He's been in office for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and Biden's administration killed 100 million, they culled 100 million chickens. But it's Trump's fault the eggs are priced out. Kind of goes back to the giving of money across. 50 years of leadership in these cities that's led these cities astray, that they're not safe, and they want to blame a Republican for it. Jackson, Mississippi is a prime example. It's fallen to pieces. The infrastructure, there's no tax basis. The whole city has fallen to pieces. You know why? Because they've been under one leadership with no checks and balances, and the Democrats have really made the town what it is, a dangerous city with crime, theft, and no one wants to go there. Chicago, same way. So when we see the FBI, the mayor's office, the police, all these people not wanting to assist, what it shows is you have a corrupt leadership in these cities. We could go through cities after cities after cities all across America. We wonder what the problem is. Well, the problem is because they've been under the same leadership for so long. And remember, like we talked about with the funding, if the same leadership has led them astray and they keep saying they're going to make it better for them and keep blaming everybody else, in 50, 60 years, these people are still living in crime, still living in poverty. Why don't we get some smartness and say, let's get rid of these people? And I think that's what Trump, RFK, Tulsi, Hedgeseth, that represents. Hedgeseth, someone who would have never thought would have been a sec def, is now sec def. They'd have thought it had been some general that's been part of the rank and file for so long that, bleeds whatever the politicians want him to bleed. But no, Trump is changing the game. Guys, let me know your thoughts. Are we upset that the FBI will go after, they will go after people, raid 75-year-old ladies' homes, put them in jail for praying, but want to call in sick not to help actually obey the laws of the land? It's unbelievable. Let me know your thoughts on this video. Again, I want you to prepare and be smart and realize, buy some seed, grow some food, put up some good clean water, some good food, because we're going to a point where even the biggest companies in the world are trying to fight against us being independent and having good quality food, water, and a life of freedom. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, God bless.